My wife whispered. He cannot see us now. We can finally stop hiding while I was pretending to be blind. She was wrong. Yesterday the doctors removed my eye bandages and said my vision was perfect. As a joke, I pretended I still couldn't see anything. My wife Sarah and best friend Mike were by my hospital bed when I heard Sarah whisper those exact words to him. Then she said something that made my blood freeze. We can finally stop hiding. Once we get him home and settled, we can move forward with our plan. I kept my eyes closed and stayed perfectly still while they held hands right next to me. Mike asked about our 6-year-old son Danny, and Sarah actually laughed softly. He already calls Mike Daddy more than he calls you that. This transition will be easier than we thought. I am 35M, married to Sarah 32F for 7 years. 2 months ago, I was in a devastating car accident when a drunk driver hit me head on. I spent 5 weeks in the hospital with broken ribs, concussion, and internal bleeding. The first week, I was unconscious. The next 3 weeks, I was heavily sedated, and this past week has been recovery and vision testing after swelling around my orbital bone. Mike has been my best friend since college. 15 years of brotherhood I thought was unbreakable. He was my best man at our wedding. He is Danny's godfather. I trusted him with my life. Literally. When I was unconscious in intensive care, Sarah told me he never left the hospital waiting room. Right now I am sitting in our bedroom typing this on my phone while they think I am napping. They brought me home 3 hours ago and I have been listening to them move around the house, whispering to each other, making plans like I am already dead and buried. The car ride home was surreal. Sarah kept asking if I was comfortable, if the sunlight was bothering me, if I needed anything. Mike sat in the backseat making jokes about teaching me to navigate the house again. They were both so attentive, so caring. If I hadn't heard those whispered words at the hospital, I would have been grateful for their support. When we pulled into our driveway, Danny came running out of Mrs. Smith's house next door where he had been staying while they picked me up. But instead of running to me, he ran straight to Mike. Mike, you are back. Did you bring Daddy David home? Mike picked him up and spun him around. Sure did, buddy. Daddy David needs lots of rest, but we are all going to take care of him together. Danny barely looked at me as Sarah helped me out of the car. When I reached out to hug him, he kind of awkwardly patted my arm and then asked Mike if they could go play in the backyard. My own son treats me like a stranger who needs to be tolerated. I don't know what to do. Part of me wants to jump up and confront them right now, demand to know what they meant by our plan, and why my son seems closer to my best friend than to me. But another part of me is terrified to find out how deep this betrayal goes. What if I confront them, and they deny everything? What if they convince me I misheard? The head injury affected my memory some. What if I am being paranoid? But people don't talk about stopping hiding when they are doing innocent things. The worst part is sitting here feeling like a prisoner in my own home. They keep checking on me every 30 minutes, bringing me water, adjusting my pillows, speaking in those careful, patronizing voices people use with invalids. Sarah made my favorite soup for lunch, the same recipe she used to make when I was sick with the flu years ago. But now I am wondering if this kindness is real or if it is part of whatever plan they were discussing. Are they trying to establish some kind of caregiving pattern? Are they documenting their devotion to me for some reason? I keep replaying that moment at the hospital. The way Sarah's voice sounded when she said he cannot see us now. There was relief in it, like she had been waiting for this moment. And Mike's immediate question about Danny wasn't concern for my son's well-being. It was logistics. Should I keep pretending to be blind to see what they are really planning? Should I confront them now before whatever they are plotting gets worse? Should I call someone for help? And if so, who? I feel like I am losing my mind, but I need to know the truth. These are the 2 people I love most in the world besides Danny, and I am terrified that they are planning to destroy me while I am at my most vulnerable. What would you do if you discovered the 2 people you trust most were plotting something against you while you were helpless? How do you even begin to process that level of betrayal? Edit. Thank you for all the responses. Reading these comments is making my hands shake, because you are confirming what my gut is telling me. Normal people don't say stop hiding about innocent things. I am scared, but I need to know what they are hiding. Edit 2. Someone asked about my injuries. I am actually healing much faster than expected. The doctors cleared me for normal activity last week. But Sarah and Mike don't know that because they haven't been asking about my actual medical progress. They seem more interested in maintaining the idea that I am helpless. Edit 3. I am going to keep pretending for now. If there is really a plan involving my son, I need evidence, not just accusations. Will update when I know more. Update 1. I cannot stop shaking as I write this. After reading your comments, I decided to keep up the blind act to see what Sarah and Mike were really doing. What I discovered is so much worse than I imagined. Last night was the most violated I have ever felt in my life. Sarah helped me get ready for bed around 9 p.m., making sure I had everything I needed within reach. She kissed my forehead and said she would sleep on the couch to give me space to recover properly. I thought that was considerate and actually felt guilty for suspecting her of anything sinister. I lay there in the dark for hours listening to the house settle, hearing muffled conversations from downstairs that I couldn't quite make out. Around midnight, I heard footsteps in the hallway, slow, careful footsteps trying not to wake me. The bedroom door opened with the quietest creak. Is he really out cold? Mike's voice, barely above a whisper. The pain medication knocks him completely unconscious, Sarah whispered back. Doctor said he will sleep for at least 6 hours straight. We have time. I kept my breathing steady and deep while they stood there watching me. My heart was pounding so hard I was afraid they'd hear it. Then I heard the rustle of clothes being removed. Fabric hitting the floor beside my bed. They climbed into bed with me. My bed. My wife and my best friend. One on each side of me, using my unconscious body as a barrier, while they betrayed me in the most intimate way possible. I have never felt so disgusted, so violated, so utterly helpless in my life. I wanted to scream, to throw them both out of the house, to demand answers. But I was frozen with shock and revulsion. They were being quiet, but not that quiet. The bed was moving. I could hear everything. When they finished, I heard Mike whisper, "God, I missed this." Having to sneak around while he was in the hospital was torture. "I know," Sarah replied, her voice breathy, "but tomorrow, I will start the paperwork process. Once everything's official, we will not have to hide anymore." "What kind of paperwork?" Mike asked. "Disability determination, power of attorney. Maybe incompetency proceedings if his recovery doesn't go well. David cannot work in his condition, and someone needs to make financial decisions for the family." My blood turned to ice. They are planning to have me declared incompetent, so Sarah can control everything while Mike moves in permanently. They see my injuries as an opportunity to steal my entire life. "What about Danny?" Mike asked. "Are you kidding? He already likes you better than David. Yesterday he told me he wishes you were his real daddy. This whole transition is going to be seamless." They talked for another 20 minutes about logistics. How Mike would gradually move his belongings in under the guise of helping with my care. How they would frame any objections I made as confusion from the head injury. How Sarah would document my declining mental state to support their legal filings. They have it all planned out. Every detail designed to make me look incompetent while they take over my family, my home, my son, my entire existence. This morning was even worse. I heard Mike talking to Danny in the kitchen while Sarah was showering. I crept to the top of the stairs and listened to my best friend systematically poisoning my 6-year-old son against me. "When is Daddy David going away for good?" Danny asked. My son asking when his father will disappear from his life like it is a vacation he is looking forward to. "Very soon, buddy," Mike answered. "Daddy David is very sick now, and sick people sometimes have to go live in special places where doctors can take better care of them. Then it will just be you, me, and Mommy, like a real family." "Will Daddy David visit us?" Danny asked. "Maybe sometimes," Mike said, "but probably not very much. Sick people need lots of rest and quiet. But don't worry, I will always be here to take care of you and play with you. I will be a much better daddy than David ever was." "Good," Danny said, and I could hear him clapping his hands. "You are way more fun anyway." Daddy David just sleeps all the time now and makes sad faces. They have been working on him for weeks, maybe months. My own child has been systematically turned against me by the two people I trusted most in the world. While I was fighting for my life in a hospital bed, they were stealing my son's love and loyalty. I managed to check our bank accounts on my phone while they thought I was napping. Sarah has been withdrawing large amounts of cash over the past 6 weeks. Over $3,000 total money I thought was going to medical bills and household expenses. Now I realize she has been funding Mike's life, probably paying for hotel rooms during my hospital stay so they could be together while pretending to take shifts watching over me. There are also charges I don't recognize. A storage unit rental, new bedding, kitchen supplies. They are already setting up house together while planning to dispose of me. I called my brother Tom during my nap today and told him I needed help urgently. I couldn't give him details over the phone, but he heard something in my voice that scared him. He is driving down from Pittsburgh this weekend for a visit, but really to help me figure out what to do. Tom never liked Mike much anyway. He always said there was something calculating about him, something that didn't sit right. Sarah thought Tom was just jealous of my friendship with Mike, but now I am wondering if my brother saw something I was too blind to notice. The hardest part is sitting here continuing to play the helpless invalid while they plan my destruction around me. Sarah keeps bringing me meals, fluffing my pillows, asking about my pain levels. Mike helps me to the bathroom, steadies me when I stumble, makes jokes about teaching me to use a white cane. Their kindness feels poisonous now. Every gentle touch, every concerned question, every helpful gesture is part of their strategy to establish themselves as my caregivers before they pull the rug out from under me. How do you even process something like this? These were the two people I would have died for. I trusted Mike with my life savings, my house keys, my family's safety. I gave Sarah 7 years of marriage, a child, everything I had to offer, and they are celebrating my supposed disability while planning to steal my entire existence. I am scared about what they will do when I expose them. I am scared about Danny and how this will affect him. But mostly, I am scared about how long this has been going on. How many of my memories are lies? How many times did they laugh about me behind my back? How many moments of our friendship and marriage were just them playing roles while plotting against me? I am going to keep gathering evidence until Tom gets here this weekend. I need proof of what they are planning, not just accusations they can deny. But I don't know how much more of this I can take without breaking. Edit 1. Someone asked if I have anywhere safe to go. My brother Tom lives about 2 hours away and doesn't really know Mike well. I trust him completely. He is the only family I have left since our parents died. Edit 2. I cannot sleep. Every time I close my eyes, I see them in my bed, hear them talking about disposing of me like garbage. How do you get past something like this? Edit 3. I found my old phone in the nightstand drawer. It still works, and they don't know about it. I am going to start recording everything tomorrow. Update 2. I thought I understood how deep this betrayal went. I was completely wrong. This is so much worse than an affair that started during my hospital stay. Yesterday, while they thought I was taking my afternoon nap, I used my hidden phone to access our home security system. We installed cameras throughout the house 2 years ago after a series of break-ins in our neighborhood. The footage is stored on a cloud server that only I have the login credentials for. What I found in those recordings made me run to the bathroom and vomit until my stomach was empty. This affair has been going on since last October, 5 months before my accident. The cameras show Mike and Sarah together in our house while I was at work, and Danny was at school. They have been using our bed, our kitchen, our living room, our entire home as their secret playground for months, while I was busting my ass working overtime to save for Danny's college fund. The 15th of October footage shows Mike letting himself in with his own key while I was at the office. Sarah greeting him at the door in lingerie I had never seen before, them disappearing into our bedroom for 2 hours. The 3rd of November, Mike helping Sarah move furniture in our living room, rearranging things to create more intimate spaces. I remember coming home that day and Sarah saying she had redecorated to freshen things up. The 18th of December, Sarah and Mike wrapping Christmas presents together at our kitchen table. Presents. I thought Sarah had bought herself. I can see them laughing, kissing, playing house in my home while I was working late to afford those gifts. The 12th of January, this one made me sick. Mike sitting Danny down in our living room for what I now recognize as the beginning of their psychological campaign against me. I watched my best friend tell my 6-year-old son, "You know, Danny, your daddy works a lot because he doesn't really like spending time at home. Some daddies are like that, but I love spending time with you and mommy. I wish I could be here all the time." Danny, innocent and trusting, asking, "Why cannot you live here with us?" "Well, that is complicated," Mike replied. "But maybe someday, if your daddy wasn't around so much, we could spend more time together. Would you like that?" "Yes, Danny said, clapping. I like you better than Daddy anyway. You play games and Daddy just talks on his phone. My best friend spent months systematically grooming my 6-year-old son to prefer him over me. While I was working 70-hour weeks to support our family, they were destroying my relationship with my child from the inside. The financial records told an even worse story. I found bank statements going back to November showing regular cash withdrawals. Over $8,000 total that I thought was going to household expenses. Sarah's grandmother died last year and left her a $40,000 inheritance that I thought was safely invested for Danny's college fund. According to the account statements, that money has been steadily disappearing. $25,000 gone to miscellaneous expenses that I now realize were funding Mike's lifestyle. His apartment lease expired in December and was never renewed. He has been essentially living off my family for months. But the smoking gun was when Mike left his phone unlocked on our kitchen counter yesterday. A text notification popped up from Sarah, and when I glanced at it, I saw it was part of an ongoing conversation thread going back months. I know I shouldn't have, but I scrolled through their messages dating back to January while I was in intensive care fighting for my life. Sarah's text from the 23rd of January, Mike, doctors say David's recovery will be longer than expected. This might be our chance to accelerate timeline. If he has permanent disabilities, we can justify why I need help managing household. Mike's response, I have been thinking same thing. Danny already trusts me more than David anyway. We just need to be smart about how we frame this. Document everything that makes David look incompetent or unstable. Another message from Sarah, the 2nd of February. David's insurance will cover long-term care if we establish medical necessity. His disability payments will handle basic living expenses. Between that and what is left of grandmother's money, we will have enough to start fresh somewhere new. They calculated my worth down to disability payments while I was unconscious and hooked to machines. They were planning my disposal before I was even conscious enough to realize what was happening. Mike's response chilled me. Sarah, we are finally going to have the life we deserve. Danny will have a father who actually wants to be around, and you will have a partner who puts you first. David's been holding us all back for years. They convinced themselves they were rescuing my family from me, that I was some kind of obstacle to their happiness rather than the person working myself to death to provide for them. Yesterday, I also discovered something that explained Danny's behavior. In his tablet's message history, I found months of conversations between him and Mike through a kid's messaging app. Mike had been telling my son that Daddy was sick in his head even before the accident, that I didn't love him as much as Mike did, that I was planning to move away for work and leave them behind. My son has been psychologically abused for months by the man I trusted to protect him. Every instance of Danny pulling away from me, every time he seemed more excited to see Mike than me, every moment I thought was just a phase. It was systematic manipulation. I called Tom yesterday and told him everything. He is coming today with 2 friends from his construction crew, supposedly for a friendly weekend visit. Really? They are helping me move my important documents and belongings somewhere safe before the confrontation. I also contacted a lawyer who specializes in custody cases involving parental alienation. She reviewed the evidence I have collected and said what they have done to Danny constitutes documented psychological abuse. She is confident we can get full custody with supervised visitation only for Sarah tonight. At dinner, I am done being blind. Tom will go with his friends in case Mike tries to get violent. My lawyer will be recording from a van parked across the street. Our neighbor Mrs. Smith is taking Danny to her house for a sleepover. I told her I needed to have a serious adult conversation with Sarah and Mike about my recovery plan. I want to see their faces when they realize their helpless victim has been watching them destroy my family for weeks. I want them to know that every cruel word about my condition, every moment they celebrated my supposed helplessness, every plan they made to dispose of me was being documented. They think they are so clever, building a life on the foundation of my misery. Tonight they learn what happens when you underestimate someone you have written off as broken. The confrontation starts in 4 hours. After 15 years of friendship and 7 years of marriage, I am about to find out who these people really are when their carefully constructed lies fall apart. I am terrified, but I cannot live this nightmare for another day. They have stolen enough of my life. Edit. Your support has kept me sane through this nightmare. I never expected strangers on the internet to show more loyalty than my own family. Edit 2. Someone asked if I am physically ready for confrontation. The doctors cleared me for normal activity 2 weeks ago. Sarah and Mike don't know because they never bothered asking about my actual recovery progress. They were too busy planning my future incapacity. Edit 3. Tom just texted that he is 30 minutes away. This is really happening. I am terrified, but I cannot live this lie anymore. Edit 4. Danny is safely at Mrs. Smith's house. She asked if everything was okay, and I told her we needed to discuss some family changes. I think she suspects something is wrong. Final update: Tom arrived with his friends for a casual visit. Sarah played the perfect wife, explaining how difficult things had been. Mike talked about his commitment to helping his injured best friend. Their performance was flawless. After dinner, when Sarah went upstairs to shower and Mike was doing dishes, I stood up and walked into the kitchen behind him. When he turned around with wine glasses and saw me standing there, both glasses shattered on the floor. "David, when did you? How are you?" "Standing, seeing," I said calmly. My vision came back 3 days after the bandages. Funny thing about pretending to be blind. You see what people do when they think you are helpless. Sarah came running downstairs, her face white with shock. I played their recorded conversation. "He cannot see us now. We can finally stop hiding." Sarah's legs gave out. Mike looked ready to run. "How long have you been recording us?" Sarah whispered. "Every single day since I got home," I replied. "Every plan you made around my supposed disability. All of it." Mike tried to go offensive. "You had no right to spy on us." Tom stepped out from the hallway. Mike immediately backed down. "I have 5 months of security footage showing your affair started before my accident. Bank records showing $8,000 transferred to Mike. Evidence of you planning to have me declared incompetent while turning my son against me." I handed them envelopes from my lawyer. Sarah, divorce papers citing adultery and parental alienation. "You have 72 hours to leave, Mike. That is a restraining order. You cannot keep me from Danny," Sarah screamed. "Check the custody petition." Based on documented psychological manipulation, my lawyer expects full custody with supervised visitation only. Mike made one last attempt. "David, 15 years of friendship. Doesn't that mean anything?" It did. "That is what makes this worse. You used all of it as a weapon against me." They packed and left that night. Sarah kept apologizing, blaming Mike. Mike looked furious. His plan had failed. This morning, Danny came home and saw Sarah's belongings gone. He started crying, asking where everyone went. I told him Mommy was staying somewhere else, and Mike went home. But we would be okay together. For the first time since the hospital, he let me really hold him. He asked if it was his fault everyone left. "No, buddy. Sometimes adults make bad choices, but you didn't do anything wrong, and I am never going anywhere. We built Legos together." He initiated play with me instead of asking for Mike. We are starting to reconnect. My lawyer is confident about custody given the evidence. Sarah has already started asking about settlement terms through her attorney, which tells me she knows she doesn't have a leg to stand on. As far as I know, not long after everything fell apart, Mike lost his job when word got around about what he had done. Turns out his employer doesn't appreciate employees who psychologically manipulate children and defraud families. He has been crashing on various couches since Sarah kicked him out when she realized he would cost her everything. Last I heard, he is working part-time at a gas station and still owes thousands in gambling debts. Sarah moved back in with her parents 3 states away. Her mother called me once to apologize, saying she had no idea what Sarah had become. She is working as a waitress now and can barely afford the supervised visitation travel costs to see Danny twice a month. I go back to work next week. 6 months ago, I thought I had a solid marriage and happy family. Now I am starting over at 35, but I would rather face the truth alone than live surrounded by people who see me as disposable. Danny and I are going to build something real together. Something honest they can never take away. For the first time in months, I can see clearly.